What is going on, Wayfinders? We have a large patch today, more than likely releasing in the afternoon at the time of this recording. So first things first, for those of you that are just TLDR, the biggest thing in here is that they fixed the Night Maw event, which is every 60 seconds instead of 2 hours. So you guys can do your farming, which I will probably be a part of now after this patch goes live. For those of you that are wanting the full patch notes, I will continue at this time. So as Solid Age said, they've had some big stability fixes, including the preventing problem saving user data in most instances. We'll see. I've had that more prevalent now on the back end these last two patches than I've had prior. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that and to see what instances that it does occur. Now, to get on to the combating gameplay, as I said earlier, Night's Maw event has a cooldown now. It's every 60 seconds. So everybody that has been basically talking about how long it takes to do this event, it's going to be up faster. So you guys can be able to get that grind a lot faster for that boss. The burst rifles will now automatically begin firing after reloading, which is great. I've seen a couple instances of this myself where I'll reload and then pull the trigger, and it's basically like I'm sitting there after, like if I miss the time to reload and I can't do anything. Fleas will no longer continue to spawn during the Sphere of Influence event in the Highlands. That's not really a concern to me because fleas are like the bottom tier of enemies. Granted, they are annoying when they jump on you, but it's not really that serious, at least for me. Some of you may like this. Arcane build-up mastery will correctly increase damage based on momentum for all executioner melee weapon types. That is huge. I didn't even know, honestly, I didn't even know this was a thing. But now that this is fixed, this probably goes back to what I was saying earlier in my other video about the Colossus for Venomous or any other character or any other magic damage character, I guess, for that matter. This be huge for them if they want to build more frontline, tanky, or however you want to go about it. Arcane build up mastery level 3 will do arcane energy burst for all executioner melee types, melee weapon types as intended. Didn't know that was a thing either. Sniper rifle mastery correctly boosts damage at long range. Oh, cool. Okay. I didn't like some of these. I didn't know it was an issue because I just go through the motions half the time. Knockbacks now respect dodge of it. Thank you. Knockbacks now respect dodge ability. I cannot tell you how many times this has occurred to me when I've dodged and I've gotten hit, and I was just like, bruh. Why? I've dodged and gotten hit. And I was like, I should have an iframe on that. Oh, that's good. Echo rarity type text in the echoes menu now matches the correct rarity. Oh, okay. So if it says common, then it says common, rare, etc., etc. Okay. NIS for you NIS players out there. Lingering shadow buff icon refreshes correctly in the player HUD after 3 stacks when active. If you're a NIS player, let me know if this was actually an issue. I mean, I don't really play NIS like that. I played her a lot in the beta, but I kind of figured everybody was going to be playing NIS when this game actually released, so I kind of moved on to Senja and Venomous. Kairos, level 3 of Kairos Arcane Focus will now deal the intended additional instances of damage. So with that, with his Arcane Focus now being correct, and then the arcane buildup, so he's going to be an actual monster. The Kairos players that are using two-handers along with this, they're going to be doing some pretty good damage. Venomous, venom thrusters now activate immediately and move slightly faster. Great, that is huge. I can't tell you how many times that I've used the thrusters and it feels like I'm just not even a slideshow, but just Showtime tunes where, you know, they're just bopping along on the road. It's just like, okay, I'm just here. When using venom thrusters with no movement input, you no longer travel off to the side instead of going backwards. Cool. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna definitely test all this stuff out once this patch drops. Using venom thrusters while ADS or blocking will no longer cause the player to travel off to the side. Okay, cool. Quest players will no longer get kicked when collecting loot during the lighting of the flame quest dungeon instance. Nice. I think that had to do with a lot of people just being able to run through it. If I can remember correctly, that's the dungeon where people were getting kicked for picking up loot. And they said just to run through it. Or maybe that's the other one that I'm thinking about. Either way, that's a huge W. Remove the duplicate Road to Ruin quest named as Secret Alva and Deepwood Hold. Cool. Fix the bug where side quest EXP was scaling unintentionally with difficulty spheres. Wait. Side quest EXP scaling. Okay. Hidden knowledge side quest can now be completed in any Aurelian Lost Zone and also counts any variant of the Decoder event. Oh, okay, cool. Nice. All right. Lost Zone. Known actions kicking the player with problem saving user data has been addressed. We will see to what extent that is once the patch goes live. Alternate personas will now appear equipped on Wayfinder models at the expedition reward screens. I can't tell you how many times I got tired of seeing the generic stuff when I've been playing with people with different skins and whatnot. Like, that's cool. That's a huge W. Gloom ambush events and lost zones will now reward the player with gloomstone shards upon completion. Cool. All right. Reduce the amounts of enemies that spawn during the excavation unit, supply raid, supply run, chain gang, and what lies beneath events in the pit. I mean, honestly, I really didn't have a problem with the amount of enemies. I guess some people would. But I'm assuming they're doing this to speed up the time it's taking people to clear these dungeons, because I do know that it's like either 3 or 4 waves of enemies during the excavation event, and the last 2 are usually like the big boys of the scavengers or whatever the case may be, scavengers, goblins, whatever enemy is fighting at that time. Enemies at the end of the Lost Zone expeditions can no longer spawn out of bounds and prevent the player's abilities to complete an expedition. I've seen this on a couple of occasions, and that is a huge fix right there. Like, I've had one where the enemy was stuck in a wall, and I used Senja's pull to pull him to the front. Then I used the ultimate to hit him before he tried to backtrack. It was the enemy with the sniper rifle. Oh, that's huge. Now that they can't go into the walls nor spawn out of bounds. Party invites can no longer be sent to any online player actively in a Lost Zone instance. So people were getting spam with this, is what I'm taking from that. People getting spammed by other people for party invites. Okay. New music variations have been added to the Deep Mines expeditions. Okay, I'm curious to know what that sounds like. Hunts. Rifles no longer can transform or warp to a husk enemy by shooting it during the Dread Legion event. Then I'm curious how rifles are going to work. So I'm guessing you're going to have to run in and do a heavy attack and then run out. I mean, I get it. I don't know. I feel like that probably, I mean, I guess it reduces the difficulty of the hunt if you're just able to shoot somebody with the rifle and transfer it to them. I get it. I get where they're coming from. I don't know if it was that big of a deal to change that, honestly. The number of enemies that spawn during each phase of Dread Legion is reduced. That is, yes. Thank you. Because that's a little bit much with how much was spawning on the map and getting hit by enemies that are just off in Narnia somewhere. Also, I would, for the CMs that may be checking out this video, I would ask that you please fix the indicators on the mobs in the Dread Hunt, because there's a lot of times where these mobs will not have the little lightning bolt symbol above their head, and they will just shoot out the beam, and there's no way to know what they're doing. They're just sitting there floating. Or the boss, for example, I know the boss has a charge up sound when he's about to do his lasers. I've had several instances where the boss will just shoot out the lasers and there's no sound whatsoever. So I have no indication of what the boss is about to do. But let's continue. Bombs will now explode quicker when passed to an enemy in Dread Legion Hunt. Thank you, because I did not like the fact that I had to run around for 15 years. 15 years for the bomb to explode on those enemies. Players can no longer get stuck and die between the holographic tiles on the Dread Legion Hunt. I haven't seen this, but I have heard of it. I haven't seen it. I haven't encountered it myself, but I've heard of that. The hand rejoined ground slam attack AoE warning indicators are now visible during Argent hand hunt. I guess some people are having instances with that. I don't think I ever encountered that. Some of these I just blitz through, and I don't really notice the indicators. But the Dread Legion stuff, that's huge. Like, we needed that. Fixed an issue where some hunts were rewarding unintended loot for completion. I wonder what the loot was. All right, so now we go on to housing. Reduce the amount of resources required to craft housing item recipes. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a sweat, so I probably have like 3 or 4 times the amount of resources. 3 or 4 times the amount of resources that's currently required. So that's just more resources for me to sit on. So that's huge. So I wonder if it's housing item recipes. So I'm guessing the artifacts would fall under that. So I'm assuming based on this, the artifacts would be cheaper to craft, even though from my point of view, they're already relatively cheap. Temporarily, players will be unable to switch their equipped Wayfinder or weapon while inside the apartment. Okay, they're probably working on something else, a bug that probably occurred for that. The Trickster artifact now has a cooldown timer. It can only be interacted with by the player who owns the apartment. Oh, so people were bugging out by using that. Okay, that's what that tells me. Localization fixed several miscellaneous text issues throughout the game. Okay. Translated VO has been added to numerous quests and cutscenes. Translated VO. So what was it? I'm curious if that meant it was in another, well, translated would tell me that it was another language. Voiceover has been added. So they added different language voiceovers. Okay. I'm guessing that's what that's saying. I may be wrong. Miscellaneous. The Enchanted Tower Compass item reward from Exalted Founder packs will now appear in the player's key items inventory. Oh, so we finally get our Tower Compass. I wonder if they're going to actually do the retroactive EXP as well. Or if that's going to be something at a later date. 5% reward tower EXP is earned from the Enchanted Tower Compass item as intended. Nice. Purchased founders packs will visibly display as owned in the shop menu. Nice. Players can immediately equip newly acquired wayfinders or weapons from founders packs without needing to travel first. So that whole travel to your home to change your stuff or get your wayfinders, so they fix that. That's cool. Several echoes now have their missing icons. I don't know what echoes had missing icons, but that's cool. Camera collision improvements have been added throughout the game. I am thankful for this because I've had several instances, if it's the one I'm thinking about, where the camera's right up on the person, right up on your wayfinder, like over the shoulder, third person, and I can't see anything from a wider viewpoint. So if that's what I'm thinking it is, then that is huge. And they still have some known issues where helper coins are not rewarded to players upon expedition completion. The Codex Halls, the Pit, and the Shrouded Woods. Helper coins will be rewarded to players in all other zones and hunts. But the thing is, so I'm guessing if you just get one of those hunts, or one of those other zones, if you get one of these zones, you just abandon it and go do something else until you get the one that you want. Or they could add in, like, if you go to the helper queue, which area you want to go to, because I know when you jump in the helper queue, it's random. So I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. Debug text is visible and duplicate bindings pop up in the settings menu. Naming inconsistencies appear for some weapons throughout several menus. Okay. Survivalist critical force mastery does not increase crit based on the player's momentum generated. Oh, okay, yeah. Critical force. Right. Okay. All right. That's the two-handed mastery. Same type echo cost reduction is not applied consistently. Oh, okay. So if you okay. So they still know about that. Tracked quests may not appear in the player's HUD and can impede quest progress, so they still know about that. Heroic Kairos arcane focus ability and VFX can remain on an enemy and continuously grow in size. I've seen this. That little orb that sits on people is kind of funny, honestly. The issues we're still tracking. Players unable to sell accessories to Venge, so that means you're still doing the what I suggested in that gold guide video. Improve camera behavior, especially in small and confined spaces. I'm curious to see what that is. Wayfinder abilities firing off in the incorrect direction. Yes, because I've had multiple times where Venomous is ult. I'm looking directly at an enemy and Venomous will fire the ult behind her. I've had this happen so many times and it just makes me a sad panda. Addressing feedback with single imbuement mutators. Okay. Tooth and Claw and Epitaph showing as a rifle. Make sure you're still tracking. Okay, so they didn't fix it yet. So I'm hoping that'll be done by next week. Talon of Pyre, Crashing Highlands. I'm hoping that'll be fixed by now. I'm hoping like these will be fixed. These bottom ones will be fixed by like next week or the end of the week or something like that. Please note a previous version of these notes include the following. Engaging with Talon no longer leads to a server crash. Okay, this fix is not in this build. It was continue to troubleshoot the issue causing the server crash issues with Talon of Fire. Okay, so it was in here and then they realized it wasn't done. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a W patch. I mean, there's still some things that I'm hoping for by the end of the week, but we won't know. Like I said, the issues we're still tracking. I would like. Well, I mean, the Talon of Pyre, that's a bigger deal, but most of these, I would hope to have them. I would hope that they finish them by the end of the week, because these are some of the bigger ones that I've seen a lot of people complain about, especially selling accessories and the Tooth and Claw and Epitaph showing as a rifle, because people need to visually see their weapon to know the attack patterns and things like that. And I get it on that end. But otherwise, great patch. I'll be looking forward to seeing the changes in game, and we'll see you all on the battlefield, and you all have a great rest of your week if I don't hear from you. If you have any questions, suggestions, or anything like that, just be sure to post them in the comments and I'll get to them as soon as possible. But other than that, you all take care and I'm out of here. Later.